Hey y'all. So I want to do a little chit chatting while I get my whiteboard together. And yes, today is October the 5th, and I'm just doing my whiteboard. But mind your business. Y'all, I like to not pressure myself when it's at the beginning of the month because y'all, sometimes, to be completely honest, I don't really be feeling like it's the beginning of a month until I actually feel like it's like another necessarily like chapter rolling over. So sometimes I get to it. Sometimes it takes me a couple of weeks into the month to actually get on board with the fact that it's another month. Cause I honestly feel like time is just what we make it. It's what you make it. So yeah, the beginning of the month. They used to feel so refreshing for me. But sometimes y'all know how you like completing something and it doesn't quite feel like it's time for that thing to be over yet. That's just kind of how I see like the phases of life. It's like, okay, I was working on this thing, and even though today is October 1st or November 1st or whatever first, that does not mean that I just completely stop working on this thing and just get on board with the fact that it's a new month. You just give yourself time to move over to that. So sometimes, y'all, I really get to my whiteboards either before that month is over, the next month, I'm like, okay, it's time to just go ahead and start getting yourself organized. And then sometimes it happens like this, where we are weeks into it, and then now I'm like, okay, let me get myself organized and on track because now I feel like I'm in a flow. So that's what we're doing today. So y'all, my reasoning for wanting to talk through what I'm about to do, and y'all, I gotta remind myself in my brain to work as I'm talking because sometimes I can't walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. But I wanted to have a conversation about us. um I don't want to say necessarily messing up, but we sometimes can do things out of alignment with who we are or what how we want to present ourselves. And I'm speaking on this thing because it happened for me yesterday with some content that I posted. And the thing that I love about my journey, y'all, is my awareness of what feels right for me, regardless of how I feel in a specific moment. I have to take a step back sometimes and ask myself, like, did this come from a place of your own issues, or was this a learning situation and you turned it into something else? And awareness and being honest with yourself is the biggest things that you can grab a hold to on this journey, because there are going to be several times on this journey where you make a mistake or you mess up and say something how you didn't necessarily intend to say it, where your self-awareness and your self-correction needs to pop in. Because sometimes on this journey, y'all, everybody isn't going to be honest with us about certain things that we do or certain things that we say. And sometimes people can be overly critical of certain things that we do and certain things that we say, when in all actuality, we're all just human. We're all just humans. We're all figuring out this thing called life that we don't have a manual to. None of us have a book in front of us that says that these are the ingredients and this is the step of how you do it. Now, us as people, we're out here sharing our journey with each other so that we get some of those tools that we need to get the ingredients for life. But it doesn't necessarily mean that all of us are at that same point at the same time either. That's why you need to be aware of self. But you also have to be aware when you mess up. And it's okay to mess up. It's okay for you to do things that really don't align with you, and you put yourself out there to say these things. Because if I wouldn't have did what I did or said it how I said it, would we be here for a learning tool, like would we be here to actually talk about it? And that's where we get caught up on our journeys as well, where we are worried about being so perfect to where we miss out on those learning opportunities as well. Anything that I do, I look at it as what could I have learned from this? What could I say in a better manner so that it doesn't come off in this way or that way? And sometimes we can let our um, personal things come in when we are speaking from a place of teaching more so. I guess that's how I want to put it. We have to learn how to separate it so that we are speaking from a place of, okay, this is the information that I want to give out from a teaching standpoint, and I'm going to take my emotions out of it and keep it, to myself, not make it so personal. We have to learn how to separate, and that's something that I'm working on, learning how to separate personal from teachable moments. I can give testimony without putting in my personal feelings of where I actually, of how it affected me more so. Because anything that I say, it's coming from an experience, because I'm never going to get out here and talk about something that I haven't experienced before. It can come from a place of experience, but sometimes you have to leave your personal thoughts and feelings at the door when it's a teachable moment and you're describing how you're trying to move forward and move past something or something that you learned more so. I hope that makes sense, because it was just jumbled up in my brain and I hope I got it out in a way for somebody to understand it. But we are our biggest critics. We as humans are our own biggest critics, and we will forgive other people before we forgive ourselves. And that was something that was so hard for me on my journey in the beginning. And it took for me to realize that I had not forgiven myself. Self-forgiveness is a part of self-love, y'all. It's a part of your healing journey. It's a part of your growth. And if you don't learn how to forgive yourself, you're going to be in a lot of stuck places and you're going to be in your head a lot. And that's not what we want. We don't want to keep repeating cycles. We don't also want to be holding on to these feelings. You have to release it because it's going to continue to show up. So if you do something out of sort, and I had to honestly have a real conversation with myself as well, because I went into that spiraling mode to where I was going to beat myself up like, like this is not you. This is not how I want to be portrayed or anything. So I ended up deleting the video, not because of the comments, but it was because of the traction that was coming behind the video, which the video was kind of controversial. And that's not what I want my brand to be about. That's not how I want my numbers to grow and climb on any platform, because that wasn't the intent behind the video. In the moment, I got caught up in my personal feelings and turned on the camera and started just talking about it, when that's not really what I want to portray in anything. And that's not how I want to present my brand to the world. So I acknowledge where, I'm wrong. And y'all, I'm really trying to be so strategic about how I say this and the words that I use, because I don't like to use the words right and wrong, because who's to say that we are right and wrong? Everybody is an individual, and what may make them move or what may make them feel good and make them feel bad, that's not necessarily true for the next person. So I try not to use the right or wrong term, because I can't tell you what's right or wrong for you. But it was wrong for me. It was a thing that set on my heart and that bothered me. So at that point, it was time for me to go back and talk within myself to figure out, okay, so like what's going on? And y'all, I really be having these conversations with myself, like, okay, so what's the problem? Like, what we doing? What's the goal? What are we trying to do here? Because this is not who we want to be. This is not what we're trying to show up as. So what's going on? And y'all, I had to take myself down the spiral to self-correct and check myself, because I know myself. I know myself. I've sat with myself long enough to be like, yeah, this is something deeper than that. And I acknowledge it. I come up with a plan of how to move from this and how to now show up and present what it is that I need to say without carrying those emotions into it. And then I also have to tell myself to let it go. I forgive myself for this because I know better. So that means that I need to do better. But I'm going to release this here because this is not my story and I'm not going to carry this with me. This will not be how my story ends. This will not be how the world continues to see me present myself as. So I'm going to leave this here and I'm going to move on from it. If I can directly apologize to the person that I may have, inflicted, I don't want to say may have because that negates everything. If I can directly apologize to the person, I'm going to do that. If I can't, because I don't know this person and I'm past judgment on a situation, not really knowing everything, I will either write it down to release it, or y'all, I will simply talk out loud to God. I will simply talk out loud to God and say, you know what, God, like I am so disappointed in myself for saying X, Y, and Z or showing up in this manner or allowing myself to spiral in this manner. And I pray that, I can be forgiven for this action. And to this person, I pray that whatever is going on, in their life where, things might look like this to the naked eye or whatever, that they can heal and they can show up in the world as exactly who you want them to be. I know that I'm not perfect. They're not perfect because I'm not perfect. And I know that it took me stages and in levels to get to where I am. So I hope that the same things that you've done for me, that you can do for others. And I have to let it go at that point. I just have to let it go because I've done everything that I can do and I have to move on from it. So allow yourself to mess up. Allow yourself to not be perfect. We don't know unless we put ourselves out there to try it. And it's like, that didn't feel like me. You adjust and you move on from it. But stop holding on to things that no longer will serve you. Acknowledge it, make a plan, release it, and move on. That is it. Acknowledge it. Be honest with yourself. Check yourself. Be kind to yourself while you're checking yourself as well, because you are only human. You're just a girl. You're just a woman. You are just a boy. You are just a man. That is it. And we are living this human experience every day. Every day that we get up, we have to remember that this is an experience. So let's learn how to release. Let's learn how to let go. And even though we're our biggest critics and we expect so much more from ourselves, give yourself grace. Give yourself some grace and forgive yourself. You're not perfect. It's not going to be perfect. And even though people may put a perfect stamp or a perfect label on you, or you may have created this thing in your brain as well to where you need to be perfect. I'm here to tell you, release it. It took me years. It took me years to get out of that space of being the perfect daughter, being the perfect mother, being the perfect girlfriend, being the perfect sister, being the perfect friend, because what I was doing was running myself raggedy and not allowing myself to have a true experience. And when I did fail those people, I would be so hard on myself to where I would be stuck in that energy for so long. Don't do that to yourself. My goal is to come on here and share as much as I can so that I can either help you avoid going down a path or helping you get out of a path, because I want you to know that it is somebody out here just like you. We like to put ourselves in a box to be like, oh, I'm just the only person that just be making these mistakes. And you're not. You are not. There are several other people out here making the same or not more, because some of us are out here trying more than others. So we're going to make mistakes. It's fine. This is life. This is an experience. Enjoy your experience, but be real with yourself, correct yourself, be kind to others, be kind to yourself. That's it, y'all. Y'all see how I just talked and not did this? So now we got to wrap this up because I got to get this done. But I hope this message helped somebody in some type of way. Y'all, I am truly in a space today to just sit with myself and make a plan to how I want to truly like show up in the things that I want to push out on social media. Um, it's all a trial, and I'm learning what each platform is for and how I can grow or can't grow on each platform, because I am realizing that some platforms just may not be for my content, and that's okay. So I have to now build on the platforms that are accepting and are going to be the ones that hear, the content. So it's all a lesson. It's all learning, but I wouldn't have known if I wouldn't have put myself out here. I don't regret this journey. I love who I am becoming. I love where I am, because I wouldn't want to continue to grow if I would have not stepped out and counted and betted on myself. So until next time, y'all, bye.